everyone, Paul Daniels here, and I'm just about halfway on my way to Townsville for a delivery of a MacBook for someone, but I'm also going to be doing some other things. I mean, no one goes to Townsville from Charters Towers without going and spending a bunch of money in the most important stores that there are down here. That is Bunnings. You've got to go to Bunnings. And for me, I've got to go get myself a mattress. Unfortunately, our local store in Charters Towers closed up because of, funnily enough, there was enough business there, but there was no one to take over the business when the existing people decided to retire. Another majorly critical store to go to when you do happen to make it to Townsville is, of course, Kentucky Fried Chicken, or KFC. Who knows what their name is these days. We used to have, yet again, a KFC in Charters Towers, and we don't anymore. About probably 18, 19 years ago it closed up for whatever reason, and it's strange that they have never opened up again, or no one has decided to pick up that franchise, because it would unquestionably be a perfectly popular franchise. I mean, we have McDonald's, we did have Subway until recently, but I can understand why they sort of shifted over to a new sort of franchising brand. We've got Pizza Hut. So, you know, we've got plenty of stores there, and we've got plenty of people buying the stuff, but I guess it takes a certain business person to go and open up those franchises. I obviously most certainly am not going to do it. It's not my kind of thing, but it'd be nice if someone else did. Anyway, drifting off the point, let's see, what else do you always got to go visiting Townsville? I mean, I already said Bunnings. For me, that's pretty much it. Bunnings, yeah, it's a universal hardware store for everything that you want and everything you weren't thinking you wanted. You walk around in those aisles and, oh boy, you know, the money comes flying out of your wallet, because you sit there and you look at all the stuff and you're going to go, ooh, yeah, I could have that. Oh, totally could use that. That makes sense, I'll grab that. And then you get back home, Charters Towers, and you pile all the stuff into the storage area, waiting for the day that you get to do something with it. And months later you realise you haven't done anything with it, and it's just more money down the drain, until you go back down to Townsville again and you do exactly the same thing. So eventually you do put these things to use. Like, I'm thinking today I've got to get some lattice work for sealing up some gaps in the cat enclosure property area. I would like to get a fairly hefty overhead lighting system for the workshop, because anyone who's been watching the videos know that I routinely complain that in spite of all the lights being on, I still can't see properly when I'm working on things. I do have about a 12 watt LED array that's in front of me when I'm working on things, but it's still not enough. I probably need I'm guessing about 50 watts worth of LED lighting just slightly in front of me and above, and that should hopefully illuminate the desk enough. And the bonus will be that the video should come out a little bit better, less grainy. The encoding will work a bit better too. So I don't normally take trips to Townsville, but this is a cumulative situation. I had a laptop that I had to drop back. Well, I fixed it up for a person who is in Townsville, and now I've got the bed situation. I've got to go to the hardware store, get that's what I got to get, a cat door for the sliding door. Since we have the air conditioner installed in the reception room, and we're bleeding the air out through the door into the larger living area, which has one of those massive twin sliding door type setups. But because we now have the night enclosure for the cats, we want to still let them get through those sliding doors. And normally we'd just leave the sliding door open a crack. But now that we've got the air conditioner, we don't really want that, because all the cold air goes straight out the crack. So I'm going to get myself one of those adjustable sliding door, cat door inserts, which surprisingly aren't too expensive. I think this one's going to be about 199 Australian. This is for the medium size one. Hopefully it'll do the job. Hopefully the cats will learn to use it. So that's always a bit of a drama, trying to get the damn things to learn how to use the stuff that you put into the house. We already have some other cat doors, and all the boys know how to use them, but the girls seem disinclined to use them, which is funny because our oldest girl, who is the oldest cat that we have, she used to always be in and out of cat doors back in the way back, like 10 years ago, not 10 years, 7 years ago. And she won't go through the ones that we have anymore, so I don't know, hopefully in time. Gotta get myself some water. I'm about an hour behind schedule on this trip right now. I was about 5 kilometers out of town, and I could feel this sort of really strange wobble on the back of the car, and it would be varying with my speed. So I was like, okay, we've got something wrong with the shaft or the tires or whatever, and pulled over and got it checked, and there's this whopping great big bobble on the rear passenger side tire. I don't know how that's happened, but the tires aren't that old. Okay, I mean about 2 years old, maybe 3. They're barely worn at all, and I've done a couple of thousand, probably 10,000 Ks on these tires, and that's not a lot when it comes to car tires. These are general tires, they're not performance tires or anything like that. So I gotta admit, the 2 front tires, they were unfortunately scrubbed out on the shoulders. Most of that scrubbing was because I had a major front end bushing and bearing wear issue, and so the tires sort of took the damage on that. So it was due time to replace those. So I did all 4 at once. So it was $560, which isn't a bad price considering that I just walked into the store. They changed it over in about 30 minutes for me, and I couldn't get that sort of time in Townsville. If I foolishly had tried to drive into Townsville in the aim for maybe like $10 cheaper tires or something for the same brand, I probably wouldn't have made it. I'd say that bobble would have thrown the belt and resulted in a lot of damage on the car. So yeah, $560 for 4 tires, fitted in half an hour. Can't complain. A semi-trailer coming at us. Yep, there it goes. The only tricky bit right now is because the front end is running on much better hoops, it's a lot lighter on the steering wheel, so I'm used to giving a fair bit of force into the steering wheel to keep it steady and true. Now it's just a light touch, so I'm kind of overshooting a fair bit. It's going to take me a little while to get used to the new softer touch. Oh, well, we'll get there. I need to take a drink. Apparently that's illegal to do now. Probably have to get a super long straw, just as we're banning straws in general. Okay, to be fair, we're banning plastic straws. Still have paper straws, metal straws, other straws. Maybe I should have a sippy cup one. But this is what I got. I'll have to use it. The road ahead's all nice and clear, dead straight, nothing on the road. So it's not a driving risk or anything like that. Cruise control's on, doing a steady 110. Here's the nice thing about the road between Charles Towers and Townsville is that a good 3/4 of it is 110 kilometres an hour. So you just set the cruise control and have a roll. So, the road itself is a bit iffy and it's bumpy, patchy. Got a lot of washouts on the side, but there are worse roads in Australia by far on main highways. Traffic's a bit of a problem. We got a lot of trucks on there. Not that trucks are a problem, but it's just that you got 2 lanes and that's it. One each way. There's no median divider or anything like that. So if you get stuck behind a semi-trailer with 3, 4 bogies on it or whatever, trailers, I don't think they're called bogies. Anyway, if you get a 3 or 4 long trailer, semi-trailer, can be a bit tricky to get around them. And there's not enough passing zones. I think it's only about 2, maybe 3 passing zones. And your normal hour and a half trip can suddenly become 2 hours, and it just becomes an ugly trip sitting behind trucks. You can sort of mentally kick back and just sort of go, okay, fine, we're going to take an extra 3 minutes or whatever, get to our destination. But then you get all the crazy cowboys who absolutely must be in Townsville at a certain time. I don't know, maybe they're catching the last flight out or something. And they do some real crazy driving. They'll pass the trucks on double lines, over crests, all sorts of stuff. I'm surprised there aren't more accidents on this road with the amount of bad drivers. Yeah, we're pretty much entering into the Townsville zone now. Actually, I feel like I've kind of been asleep here. Yeah, I really do feel like I've been asleep. I'm just waking up and I realise I'm in the Townsville zone, and I have no recollection of passing certain landmarks. That's crazy. Real crazy. And messes with your head. It reminds me of the time when I was working over in South Africa, and I was just working flat out all the time. I'd get up at 5:30, I'd finish at 10:30, maybe 11:30, maybe midnight, and then I'd go and have dinner. And it was such a grind. But yeah, I mean, I was enjoying it, but it definitely was a grind. I remember frequently coming home or driving home from when work officially ended at 5. And I'd have me stick my fingers in between my teeth to stop me just clenching down so hard, because I knew I had so many things I had to get done, and I just wasn't keeping up. Oh, some jockstraps just raced down in front of a truck, funnily enough. Yeah, good on you, buddy. Just managed to get it. Yeah, the risks people take. But what was I going to say? Crikey, can't remember now. Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, so I'd be working the grind so much, and then every now and then I would sort of switch on at about 9:30 in the morning at work and have no clue how I got there. And no, I wasn't taking drugs or anything like that. It was just a case of the brain went into automatic mode in those sort of situations. So I'd obviously be getting up at 5:30, get dressed, drive to work. Work was about a half-hour drive, which wasn't bad. It was better than the 45 to 50-minute drive that I had originally when I was first working there. And you'd go through all the motions of being at work, answer the emails, that sort of stuff, and then your brain would finally decide to wake up and come and join you at work, and you'd be like, okay, I'm here. Oh, how did I get here? There apparently were reports of me even turning up at work at 2 o'clock in the morning, logging in with my key card and everything like that, and I would have no recollection of that. It was a little bit spooky. It's almost like when you do drunk coding and you come back a couple of months later and look at the code and you go, I have no memory of this code, and it'd be signed off by you and everything. You go, okay, obviously did write that code, but yeah. At least these days with things like Git, it makes it a lot easier to deal with those sort of events in terms of like, well, let's go review what I did. Whereas back in the late 90s, it was a case of, yeah, that looks a little bit different. And you wouldn't really have a lot of diff systems there. I mean, we did have CVS, RCS, things like that. But it wasn't, here we go, I got to pass a truck. He was nice enough to indicate to us that we could pass. It's interesting here in Australia, we don't have the passing etiquette that they have overseas, say like in South Africa, funnily enough. Like over there, if you were behind a slow moving vehicle and it was generally blind in front of you, or the roads are a bit atrocious, when things were right for you to go past them, for left-hand side driving situation here, by the way, they would indicate left as if they're sort of going to say, okay, we're going to pull off to the side of the road, but really it was an indication like you're clear to go get around. So the etiquette is they would indicate for you to go around, you would go around. Once you're past, you put your hazards on and let them blink once or twice to say thank you very much, and then they would flash their lights to say thank you for saying thank you. And that was how you did it, and that's how you got around a lot of traffic jam situations or slow road situations. But here in Australia we don't have that. It's very rare that people will take the courtesy to indicate that you can get ahead, and most of the time here they will indicate to the right, which at first you sort of think, oh, that makes sense, but then it actually can cause an ambiguous situation that could result in a catastrophic crash. Like if they are legitimately about to turn right and you're used to, you're thinking they're indicating to tell you you may pass, then you can imagine how that would cause an accident. They start turning, you've come up the side of them, something else is happening, and then boom, crash. Another thing we don't have here, which I thought was much better overseas, was the four-way stop intersection. Now we get around that by using roundabouts, but amazingly over there the four-way stop worked quite well. So essentially it was just a normal cross intersection, and everyone was effectively a stop, and whoever got there first got to go first. And there were a few accidents, and sometimes you would get ambiguous timing situations where people sort of go, well, I was here first, and the other person's like, no, I was here first, and you would sort of try to suss each other out as you creep out from the stop line. But overall, it worked. I mean, here with roundabouts, like in Charters Towers, we've had 3 or 4 roundabouts installed. It completely breaks the brains of a lot of the people who've never been out of town. They treat them as, they still treat them like the partial giveaways that they used to be with the main arterial, well, not really an arterial road, the main road going in one direction and the side feed roads. And if the people are coming in on the side roads, they sit there and they wait for all the traffic on the main road to go past first. It's like, it's not how a roundabout works, but and there's obviously the complaints that, why have we got roundabouts? They've ruined the heritage of the town. I'm thinking, what are you talking about? It's like, if you want the heritage of the town, well, you should rip up the bitumen roads, tear down the street lights, heck, tear down the buildings. I mean, it was all bushland before that. Maybe you should go back to that heritage. It's always a bit of a laugh when people complain about you making new progressive additions for the safety of people and everyday driving, things like that. And they're complaining about roundabouts and how they're difficult to use and things like that. If you're finding roundabouts difficult to use, then maybe, just maybe, you should not really be driving, or maybe you should go do a refresher course, something like that, or maybe you should put the effort into learning how to use them, because they're definitely good things. Make traffic flow a lot better. And in Charters Towers, that was an important thing, because you could spend 5 minutes sitting on the side waiting for your chance to slip in, particularly if you're trying to cut across the main road. Now it's all easy and smooth. Geez, I hope this is recording. Better yet, I hope the audio is okay. I haven't done many audio car recordings before. Take a drink. Yeah, we're about 22 k's out of Townsville. Starting to come back into familiar territory for me. And for a great portion of my life, this is where I lived. And I would come out into this region in particular every weekend. This is the Oak Valley region. The reason why I'll be out here is because the Model Aircraft Club is out here. I remember back then I would have been 16, probably 16 years old at that time, so it would have been, oh boy, 1989. That's a while ago now. Doesn't feel like it, but I remember catching a lift from another model aircraft person and taking the big long drive, a whole 20-kilometer drive out to Oak Valley to fly our planes. And by fly our planes I mean attempt to launch, crash spectacularly in about 5 seconds, and then sit on the bench and talk about how it wasn't your fault for the next hour or two. That's usually how it went. I am pleased to say I'm a much better pilot now with model aircraft than I was back then. Although I don't really get a lot of enjoyment out of flying model aircraft. For me, my true enjoyment is designing them, sorting out, they're just coming up the designs for the planes, making something that does a better job of a particular type of flying that we want to do. And then once I've flown it and proven it, I either want to make a revision, make it better, or it's just like, let's go on to the next project. About the only kind of flying that I do find myself repeatedly going to and not getting this urge to build another one or jump to a new plane or something like that is discus launch gliding, or DLG. And I think the reason is that with discus launch, the challenge is the flying, because all you've got is the power of your arm to launch the plane up into the air. So you might get maybe 120-foot launch. That gives you about a 30 to 40 second window to try and find yourself a thermal, and then catch a lift on the thermal to get up to some high altitude. Good exercise, I must say, because probably 19 out of 20 times you won't catch a thermal, or drift out, or go too fast, or you get the opposite, you get yourself a bit of a cold sink. But then the 1 out of 20 times you'll catch a thermal, you get the rush, you're up there 5-10 minutes, and then you're back. That was the challenge. And so that's the one type of flying model aircraft that I will willingly keep a plane for a long time and keep using it. The other type of flying that is a challenge that I quite like, of course, is helicopters. Now those things, I think the universe does not like helicopters. The universe tries its very best to destroy helicopters. And every time you take a helicopter out for a flight, model helicopter rather, you can pretty much be sure you're going to burn a $50 or $100 note. Parts that decided to wear out on that time, or your landing was a bit rough and you slapped the boom, or there seems to always be something. It's a very expensive sort of challenge. We're soon about to drop off out of the 110 km/h zone and get into the 100. Man, it's dry out here, really dry. Probably get some rain soon, whether it'll be enough or not, who knows. Townsville's probably going to be a little bit rain apprehensive this year, considering that last year we had about a 2-week monsoonal stationary event sitting on top of us, and it just rained and rained and rained and rained and rained. It just would not let up, and a great portion of the city was flooded right on out. And it sort of gave a lot of us old people, I wouldn't call myself old, a lot of people who lived in Townsville from the 70s and 80s, gave us a lot of opportunity to say we told you so to the developers who decided to make a whole new housing and shopping development in this place called Errands, but they renamed it to Fairfield Waters. What's the other name that they've given it now? I can't remember. It doesn't stick so well. But Errands is a bit of a swamp, mangrove swamp kind of high water, high tide sort of area, and they decided they'd develop on this, and they said, no, we're good, we've raised the ground up to a certain level that it's not going to be flooded for maybe a 1 in 100 year event sort of thing. And 10 years later we get that 1 in 100 year event and everybody gets flooded out, shopping centres completely trashed. There's a bit of a warned you, man. But with the right kind of money, developers can put stuff on anywhere. Dahlia, I think, is the new name. Yeah, so they had this great area called Errands, and they chopped it up a little bit, and they said, oh, yeah, the name Errands has got a bit of a bad connotation to it, kind of like if you're down in the Brisbane area and someone mentions Ipswich, people go, yeah. So Errands is kind of like the Townsville Ipswich area. So yeah, they renamed it to Dahlia. It's like, well, that's maybe not much better, but I guess it was a shedding of the name. We're now going to start getting into the Townsville region. In the industrial, dirty region. Townsville's always been a bit of an industrial city. I mean, we try to pretend we're a bit of a tourist zone, but by large and far we are primarily industrial. We've got the port, we've got the nearby mines, the highways coming in from Mount Isa, all that sort of stuff, the railway lines. And we always would be competing with Cairns, which is 450 k's north. And Cairns really is more the tourist centre, but definitely Townsville is the industrial workhorse centre. That said, I'll still move to Townsville gladly. Well, it's getting hard to pick an area to go. Unless you want swampy zones like Fairfield Waters. This road that I'm on, the Flinders Highway that comes into Townsville, it's not a tourist type road, and you can tell because there's no making it look pretty or anything like that. It's just rough as guts. There's an industrial shed, there's trucks there, there's dirt there, there's dust there, there's dead trees there. So yeah, take it as it is. But if you come into Townsville via the Bruce Highway, then it's a whole different story. So look at us, we're all nice, we're pretty, come visit and stay, spend money here. I'm gonna have to cut off soon, have to message the person that I'm meant to meet up with. Hopefully I haven't derailed their day too much, because with that tyre blowout situation, well, it wasn't a blowout, the tyre bobble situation, that did completely ruin the schedule I had. And it's going to mess with my other schedule of, I was hoping to pick out a new mattress and have it picked up today, but it's getting a bit late, so it's probably going to delay it till maybe tomorrow, worst case scenario, maybe the week, next week, and that's going to be a nuisance. It's a good example of how one small event can cause a problematic cascade with many other events. Like, it was only a 30-minute fitting for the tyres, but already that's pushed everything else a little bit further. And then your get things done today situation becomes, well, maybe next week it will be done. And it's probably why I lose my head so much when couriers are late for me. Then again, I'm a bit of a hypocrite there, because there have been plenty of times where I probably could have pushed to get certain packages out at times, and I was like, I'll do that tomorrow. So maybe I'm just a victim of my own laziness coming back at me in the form of universal balance. Now, we're in the 70k zone. So dry, so brown. People often call Townsville Brownsville because of the fact that it's just most of the time brown. Even though we should be in a bit of a tropical zone, we're in a more of a dry savanna type situation because of it's a geographical quirk due to the mountains and the way the coastline is shaped. And so we tend to have rain going above us and below us. Like if you go to Air, which is about an hour south of Townsville, it's wet most of the time, sugarcane country, lush green. And if you go an hour north of Townsville to Ingham, again, same thing, lush green, beautiful, Italian. Funnily enough, so's Air, Italian. But Townsville, no. It gets rain, but not enough. And so it's Brownsville. Still love the place though. It was very weird visiting though. There are some places in Townsville if I go to, I get overrun with the whole nostalgia emotions. Good reason to avoid those areas. Every now and then I'll drive past my childhood house. That's difficult. I love that place. But you know, it's not your house per se, it's your parents' house. They do what they need to do with it. Yeah, it's like you get to go out and buy your own house at some point. You shouldn't restrict your parents' options of what they can do with their property. No more than they can restrict you doing what you want to do when you turn 18 and become an adult. I mean, fair's fair. We've got to slam on the brakes here because someone's coming around the roundabout. And we're through. And Paul puts the accelerator down a little aggressively. That's okay. Alright, I'm going to have to pull off to the side here somewhere and get in touch with this person. Alright, we're going to leave it at that. Thanks very much, and I'll see you later.